Thank you for attending tonight's City Council Forum. Thank you to Greg Hagan for filming tonight's event, Robin John from Maven.media for moderating, and Robin Pierce from FM Bank for serving as our timer this evening. This evening we have the opportunity to hear from the 8 individuals who are running for Tomah City Council. At this time I'm going to ask you to please silence your phones as we begin the event. The format for this evening is as follows. Before beginning tonight, each of the candidates have drawn lots to determine their seating position. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves. Our timer, Robin Pierce, will alert the candidates of their time remaining and when their time has expired. After introductions, our moderator, Robin John, will be asking questions. Donna Evans has drawn the first seat position and will answer the first question, followed by the remaining candidates. Travis Scholze has drawn the second seat position and will answer the second question first, and so on and so forth in round-robin style. Tonight's event will last between 90 minutes and 2 hours from start to finish. It is our goal to have each candidate answer one question first. At the end of the question, each candidate will have 2 minutes. At the end of all the questions, each candidate will have 2 minutes to form a closing statement. At this time, please stand as you are able and join me in reciting our Pledge of Allegiance. Robin John to join me up on stage.
Good evening. Glad we weathered the storm. Got more people up on stage than in the audience. It's okay. Replay. And it's a round robin. Hi, Robin. All right. Donna Evans, you were the first to answer the first question, as Tina explained. So here we go, question number 1. We have 8 questions. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. We have a 2-minute introduction. We're ready to time this? Donna, go ahead.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Donna Evans and I'm running for the District 7 council seat. My husband, Greg, and I have been married for 35 years, and he's recently retired from Toro. I have 2 children, Nick and his wife Tiffany and son Braxton live in Germantown, and my daughter Jenna and her husband Oakley Moser live here in Tomah. I graduated from Tomah High School and then from the UW River Falls with a degree in high school agriculture. I taught school in Spencer, Wisconsin, and then I moved back home when I got married. I did some substitute teaching in the Tomah School District, and then I began working for RIA Federal Credit Union, and I have been there for 34 years and branch manager for 29 years. Greg and I love to camp in the summer around the area, and we also play pool around the state of Wisconsin in the winter, and Greg's newfound retirement fund is ice fishing on Lake Tomah. I have been active over the years in JCs, the Tomah Lioness Club, Tomah Youth Hockey, 4-H, and the Chamber. I decided to run for City Council to help keep Tomah moving forward, to be an active, thriving community. I think we're on the right track, but I want to keep helping us move forward. I want to continue to work on ways to help our existing businesses prosper and grow, along with invite and welcome new businesses to our community. To work actively with the city administrator, employees, and the residents, listening to their wants and needs, and continue to be a financially responsible town. I would like to continue to work on the revitalization of downtown Tomah and the area to support, and also support the south end of Tomah's growth. To work positively with the Chamber and the CVB to promote and advertise Tomah is open for business, and we are a growing community, and we have been since 1883. I feel I would be a fresh set of eyes, ears, and would be a positive, proactive member of the council. We all have a stake in the future. Thank you.
Travis Scholze, 2 minutes.
All right, good evening. I didn't prepare such a nice statement. My name is Travis Scholze, currently the District 5 City Council representative, representing wards 11 and 12. Been at the Walmart Distribution Center for 13 years today, so 13 years ago I started out there. Like what I do out there, and I really have enjoyed the last 2 years representing District 5, moving the city of Tomah forward in really that's my goal for the next 2 years. I'm running unopposed, so hopefully we'll win that seat. But again, really have enjoyed the time on the council and think the city of Tomah is in a better place today than it was 2 years ago. And that's in large part thanks to everybody on the council and having a common goal. So thank everybody for coming. We can get you guys the answers that you're looking for with some of the questions that are asked tonight.
Thank you, Travis Scholze. And a reminder, I was asked earlier tonight if we could keep the mic close to our mouth so everybody could hear. Wayne Kling, 2 minutes.
Thank you for coming here tonight. My name is Wayne Kling. I've been a resident of Tomah for all my life except for my military career. My deceased wife and I raised 6 children. I was a graduate of Tomah High School and attended the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse. I am committed to seeing Tomah continue in a positive direction. During my 30 years, I have had many jobs in the Army. I was a unit administrator, a logistics sergeant, a medic, an operations NCO, and training NCO. During a break in my service, I worked in the medical field for 11 years. I served on 6 committees currently for the city of Tomah. For the last 3 years, I attended workshops on local government 101 sponsored by the city of Tomah. I am also a board member of the Tomah Historical Society and Museum, a member of the American Legion, and a member and actor at the Tomah Area Community Theater. Communicating with my constituents makes me a reliable and dedicated councilman. There are many projects I would like to see to completion. 3 years as an alderman has given me the skills and knowledge to continue as a city councilman. Even though I am retired, I enjoy doing community service. I work at Challenge Academy and a group home in Tomah for the mentally challenged. My votes, along with other council members, were instrumental in voting for a new hospital, Gunderson Cancer Clinic, the Gerke Building, a chamber building, and negotiating for a new ambulance center, along with other positive changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Remy, unbeknownst to us, that microphone may be off. Could you flip the switch on that? Wayne's got such a booming voice. Remy Gomez, 2 minutes.
I am not that loud. Dang, that was impressive. First off, my name is Remy Gomez. I'm sitting city councilman for District 8. I was appointed in November, so my term is up here in April. So first off, before we get started, I'd like to thank Tina and the chamber for putting this on. Regardless of the turnout in the crowd, like Robin had said, the replay and what gets said here and captured here is important. It is an important election. We got some big projects going on. We got some things that we need to make sure we have the right people in place and educated in the right spots. Now on myself, I'm 36 years old. Lived here for Tomah, in Tomah my entire life, minus 2 years where I went to college in Rochester. Ended up tearing my knee up, so I moved back home. I was raised by my mother, Iris Olson. She is one of 20 kids of Harold and Margaret Town. My mom has since passed away 6 years ago. She's always instilled in me that our community is needed of fresh voices and honest voices and people that have the right things in mind. And those characteristics have always been where I stand. If you know me for any amount of time, I have an opinion on a lot. Not to say that I'm not an expert in a lot, but I do my research. If you ask any member of the council, anybody who's worked with me so far in my time on the council, I do my homework, I come prepared, I'm ready for anything with an open mind, and I stress that last part, open mind. My opinion is not what I vote on. It is based on what is presented in front of me. and stays neutral until proven otherwise. If I haven't talked about it, if I haven't presented with the proper information, I'm simply not going to answer. Thank you.
Sue Holme.
Good evening. My name is Susan Roman Holme. I am running for City Council for District 8. I was born and raised in the Sparta area. Sorry about that. First, I was in Bush Prairie on a farm with my grandparents, and then we moved into the city of Sparta. I left Sparta after graduation, went into Madison to go to school. I met my husband, Ron, and we've been married for 35 years. And we've been very fortunate to have 4 children, all grown now and living in the Madison and Milwaukee areas. Ron and I raised our kids with an importance of showing and displaying a lot of empathy, not only for our community, but also for our planet. And for that, I'm very proud of the jobs that they're now doing in their life. Ron accepted a position with Organic Valley in Lafarge 6.5 years ago, and after a year of commuting back and forth between Lafarge and Middleton, we decided to take the break and move back up to this area, and so now we're living in Tomah. Over the years, my career has varied from a department store manager to a clinical manager, and finally working in a veterinary clinic as manager and also as a technician. Currently, I take care of animals on a daily basis. I'm an executive director for an animal rescue. I also own my own business, and I'm active with the Tomah Historic Preservation Commission, and currently I sit as their chairman. I'm also on the executive board for the Tomah Area History Museum, and we are in the process now of moving to a new building, and it's a very exciting time for us with the museum. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Jeff Cram, 2 minutes.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Cram. I'm the current alderperson for District 3, which encompasses wards 7 and 8. And I was appointed to that position in May of 2018. My desire to seek re-election comes from my strong sense of service to our community. I think that Tomah is a great place to live and work, and I have always made a good effort to keep apprised of community business, and I continue to strive to be a great voice for the residents of my district. I do this by supporting Tomah's growth and development. I believe Tomah faces important decisions in upcoming years, and the council will need to decide whether to support policies that encourage businesses to grow and develop in our town. While I support Tomah's growth, I also believe growth must be fiscally responsible. It is an important job of the council to balance these 2 issues when deciding the future of our city. My service to the community extends beyond my role as alderperson. I'm an active member in the Tomah Lions Club. With the Lions, I have served as a director and am currently serving my 6th year as the club's treasurer. I'm currently in my 2nd 3-year term for the Tomah Chamber of Commerce, where I serve on both their full and executive boards, as well as many other committees. And I was recently elected the 2019 board chair. In addition to community service, I'm an active member of my church, serving on a family life committee, and I am also a member of the Tomah Knights of Columbus. Lastly, a little bit of background, personal background on me, is that I am a Tomah native and a 1999 graduate of Tomah High School. I received my bachelor's degree of science and professional geography from the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh in 2004, and since graduating have worked my entire professional career in the Tomah and Warrens area. Since 2008, I have been employed by Mecca Sportswear as their technology and outsourcing manager, and my wife Nicole and I have been married 15 years, and we have 1 son, Oliver. I am very excited to continue to serve the Tomah area. Thank you.
Adam Gigous, 2 minutes. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Adam Gigous. I am currently the challenger to the District 1 seat for City Council. This would represent both Wards 1, where I currently live with my wife, who I actually met here in the halls of Tomah High School, and our 2 children, and Ward 2, which coincidentally I grew up in, so you could say I know District 1 very well. I've lived in Tomah for about 30 years. I'm currently an information technology instructor with the Wisconsin Technical College System, after working in a career in IT for about 10 years in various businesses around the area. Locally, I'm pretty involved. I'm in the Lions Club, so you can kind of see me doing random shenanigans as you would, helping out during the summers. And I'm also the current men's assistant varsity coach for the soccer team here at the high school. I'm running for city council because the entire time that I've lived here, I have watched the city of Tomah grow, and I would love to see that growth continue and to help foster it. I feel like there are three main areas that we can do this, between population growth, strategic partnerships with local business, and tourism. And in the, for brevity, I'll keep it there, so maybe we'll get out here a little earlier. Thanks.
Hello, and thank you all for coming. My name is Komiskey, and I am the alderperson now for District 1. I am originally from outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. After high school there, I went to Washington, D.C. to GWU for a while. Then I got a job in the Pentagon. From there, I moved to Virginia Beach, Virginia, where I worked for the JAG office for the Marine Corps. After 30-some years, I retired from the federal government, and then I got a job as a director for a nursing home, and that was, I only wanted part-time, but it got to be full-time, so I quit. I was involved with the school district. I was on the school board for 6 years. Prior to being on the school board, I was instrumental in getting the fence down by Lemonmar School. It used to be the kids used to play in that playground, and the ball would go up over to the road with no fencing. So I worked hard to get with the school to get a fence there. Then later, I worked with Assemblyman Giacomonis in Madison in order to get the softer stuff on the playgrounds. It used to be all blacktop, and now we have a better landing place. So then I ran for city council because I enjoy problem solving, I enjoy working with the underdog, and I enjoy seeing the city moving forward, and I want to be part of it. Thank you.
Our 2019 Tomah City Council candidates, all 8 have had a chance to introduce themselves. They had 2 minutes. Now we'll pare the answers down to 90 seconds, and the way in which they're seated, we have 8 questions. Everyone will get to answer 1 question. Leading off, we'll answer all the questions, and if anyone in the audience has a question we don't ask, you could submit it to Tina, and we'll get it up here as well. So question number 1, Donna Evans leading off. Donna, by the way, is running for district number 7, which are wards 13 and 14. Donna, why are you running for council, and what makes you a qualified council person? 90 seconds.
I'm running for council because I feel that I have a lot to offer. I'm a very strong, go-getting woman. I've been very active in all my years in organizations and clubs, taking charge type of person. I like to sit back and listen to all the questions and objectives before I make a decision. I don't like to fly off the handle. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I'm a person that will go in there feet first and think about everything. I like to think I have a good fresh set of eyes and ears and to listen to what is going on in our community. I really want our community to grow and to prosper. I want to find new businesses. I want to have our businesses that are here prosper, and I think I can do that and be active. Thank you.
All right, what we do today on the council isn't necessarily going to affect maybe us directly in our lifetimes. So the main reason I want to be a part of the council and help the city move in a positive direction is to make it a place where my kids can come back and live. I don't always tell them they have to come back here, but I at least want it to be an option. And in order to do that, we need thriving businesses. And in order for that, we need people to want to live here. So revitalizing the downtown and giving the options to people that when they come and visit, they look at Tomah as a place that they could see themselves living. So that was the drive 2 years ago when I decided to get involved, and that continues to be my drive today. Some of the reasons why I think I can help with that is I'm pretty open-minded, level-headed. I can look at ideas and try to see things from different perspectives and make the best decision, not just for me, like I said, but for the future of Tomah and the generations to come.
Thank you, Travis Scholze. And Travis is running for District 5, Wards 11 and 12. For Wayne Kling, also running for District 7, Wards 13 and 14. 90 seconds, Wayne. The question. Would you like the question again?
Please do that.
Why are you running for council, and what makes you a qualified council person?
Well, I'm running for re-election because there's many projects that haven't gone to fruition yet. Meaning that we, as a council, has voted to repair the log cabin, the Boy Scout log cabin. And in 2020, that will come to fruition as far as being repaired and restored. The log cabin is now on the National Historical Register, and prior to that, it was up for destruction. So I and a group of people, through fundraising, has raised $8,000 to repair it. So the city is on board of that, and I'd like to see that completed. Another thing we have in our city is a historical preservation committee and an ordinance. And I can say that if I hadn't been councilman, we would still be without that ordinance. Now, I've tried to do my best and communicate with my constituents one-on-one to see what kind of climate we've got as far as moving ahead for Tomah in a positive direction. Some of my constituents are divided on certain things that come up on the agenda. So it's very important to do what your constituents would like you to do. Thank you.
Wayne Kling, again, District 7. Remy Gomez running for District 8, which is wards 15, 16, and 19. Remy, 90 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, why I'm running for council or running to keep my seat is the same as what I ran on last year and during the mayor race prior to that. Tomah's a growing community. Fresh eyes, fresh ears, somebody who's lived here for any amount of time can tell you what we need, what we want, what we desire. But not everybody's willing to really stand up and fight for those projects for us. Along with other council members here who have their own special interest, I personally feel if we get a community center in the lines of the rec center, and we get all hands on deck, and we get a place where we can really grow as a community, and where people from the outside looking in would want to be a part of coming in. We're a safe community, we're an educated community, we've got great schools, great police, chief, and staff. All we really need is that extra little bit to get us over the hump. Some people will talk about growth and that we probably don't want to grow too much because it comes with crime. Well, I think we got that taken care of. We got a great police force. We got a lot of things going for us. We're ready for the next step. As scary as it'll be, Tomah's a growing community, and we would not be doing ourselves justice if we didn't look at growth as a real major concern.
Thank you. Sue Holme, District 8 as well, wards 15, 16, and 19. The question once again, why are you running for council and what makes you a qualified council person? 90 seconds.
What initially brought me to put papers in to run was a conversation over the fence. And when you have elderly people that live next door, you kind of watch out for them. And in conversation, a lot of things came up, and that was their concerns, and not only with tax increases, but potential for them to not be able to stay in their home any longer. I like to listen to her because she lived in Tomah a long time and has seen things come and go. And even though she was interested in the progression of Tomah, she was concerned about how the finances were going to impact her and her house. I do believe that we can progress. I just think we need to have some fiscal responsibility. And I know it sounds like a canned phrase, but we have to watch the budgets. We have with the VA, we have tremendous opportunities. The government is here on our doorstep with Fort McCoy and the VA hospital. Now with the new hospital, there's a lot of people coming into town, hopefully to work and live. And I would love to have them as my new neighbors, but I want to watch out for my old neighbors as well. And that would be an opportunity on the city council, is to watch their back. Thank you.
Jeff Cram running for District 3, which is Ward 7, 8, and 17. 90 seconds.
I think I've always had an interest in Tomah and moving Tomah forward. Tomah has always been a special place to me. It should be. It's where I grew up. I want Tomah to succeed. Everything I try to do, I think about how can we make Tomah better? How can we make it better for our residents? How can we make it better for our businesses? How can we grow? How can we grow responsibly? How can we bring new things here and continue to make it special for the next generation? There's a lot of important things happening in Tomah right now. And when my seat became available for an appointment, I felt now was the time. I've been here my whole life. I work as an executive for an important manufacturing company. I can make tough decisions. I can be involved. I work in community service, and I think that I have the skills to be open-minded and really take a look at all aspects of what's out there and really bring great decisions to the next generation, to the current and next generations of the community.
Adam Gigous, 90 seconds. Adam is running for District 1, Wards 1 and 2, that includes. 90 seconds, Adam.
Like I mentioned in my introduction, I'm running for council, like others have said, to help Tomah grow. In a more concrete sense, this means just helping the tax base grow, right? Doing stuff like encouraging more people to move to our city, working with local businesses like the Downtown Revitalization Project, where we can put more money into the city and then hopefully help them grow their tax base. And then us as citizens, we get kind of a kickback from that, right? When we get more tax money back. And it's more stuff for us, right? You know, better roads, new street lights, stuff like that. I mean, these are things we all want. Other than that, it's just like others have said, this is where my kids live. This is where the players that I coach soccer, this is where they live. So can we make this, I can help make this the best community that I can for them as well. Qualifications, I'm the type of person who really loves the transformation of things. On the soccer program at the high school, we have this thing where we'll take a group of players and we'll want to turn them into incredible men first and then incredible soccer players second. Just helping people become more than they are, or in this case, helping the community be more than it already is. And as a teacher, I have the skills to work with many different types of people and to kind of help everyone move towards a unified goal. Sometimes that can be a really easy process, and sometimes it's a little challenging when you're trying to lead a horse to water, but I think this would make me an excellent candidate.
Marianne Komiskey, also running for District 1, Wards 1 and 2. 90 seconds, Marianne.
I'm running because I want to be the voice for my constituents. Sometimes in talking with my constituents, they're in favor of something that may not be the popular thing that people want or other districts want. And it takes courage to be able to speak up when you know that you're not giving the popular answer. And I do have the courage in my convictions to be an independent thinker. My qualifications: I've worked in administration all my career. I've worked in budgeting, finance, and different administrative issues. And I feel like my qualifications are I really, really care to do a good job and to represent my constituents.
Thank you. With time to spare. All right, question number 2, we're going to begin with Travis Scholze. And unless you want me to repeat the question once we get rolling here, I think it's fine if you just, Travis, you answer it in your time lot, and then Wayne on down. There's no reason for me to interrupt you every in between. So for Travis, here is our second question. In your opinion, what kind of relationship should exist between the City of Tomah and the Chamber of Commerce?
Well, I think that relationship is a very important one. I have had the opportunity over the last year to be a member of the CVB, so I've worked closely with Tina and the Chamber from that aspect. And to have somebody in our back pocket, and when I say ours, I mean the city's back pocket, that is going to be an advocate for the City of Tomah, I think it's absolutely 100% is a relationship that has to be fostered and work for both sides. Tina and her staff have, even just with the rebranding, have donated, and maybe donated is not the right word, but have contributed countless amount of time, effort into putting a logo together, into rebranding the city. That wouldn't have been free had the city went and got that on their own. So again, I would say 100% that relationship has to be a strong one, and definitely a working relationship for both sides.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I believe the Chamber of Commerce and the CVB works well with the city officials, the city administrator, and the council. The Chamber has put a lot of work into the old DNR building. A lot of money, a lot of time. I support the Chamber. I also believe that the Chamber is doing their best as far as getting the word out on revitalizing downtown Tomah. I believe next year we're going to have a new lighting system in process for the city. And I believe that the Chamber could do more as far as supporting the area community theater with tourism dollars, also supporting the Historical Society and Museum with some tourism dollars, maybe not a lot. Right now we have a new museum. We have transferred from the old museum to the old Shutter building. And we are struggling to get enough money to complete the purchase of that building, which we will close soon. Thank you.
Now it's working? Good.
90 seconds.
I kind of liked hearing you say the question over and over, to be honest.
You can?
No, I'm good. I just want to
All
say
right.
it. I didn't mind it.
We forgot it.
The Chamber, like Travis said, I mean, the Chamber plays a vital role. in Tomah, especially a growing community. Along with our city administrator, an active chamber and an active board, and that relationship is 100% necessary. And I've got to witness it personally over the last 6 months. I've got to see it progress. I've got to see this beautiful logo that we have unveiled. I struggle to say their best interest is Tomah. And that's it. So if you're a business of any kind, if you're a citizen of any kind, you should encourage that relationship to be as strong as possible. She looks out for us, especially with the revitalizing of downtown. That chamber puts us out there. You don't see it because she's not marketing us. She's marketing outside of Tomah. She's doing the work for us to get people in here to want to live here. A lot of people work here, but they spend their money back where they live. We want to get those people to have reasons to live here. That's what she does. That's what the chamber does. Their relationship with the city is strong and should continue to stay strong.
I think the chamber has a tremendous challenge to keep all the businesses in balance, to help not only just one business but all the businesses. Bringing back the downtown area is that challenge. And there were some failing businesses, and now we see that, there's some new businesses coming in, old buildings that have been brought back. I think of the break room downtown and the tremendous amount of work that went into bringing that into a successful business, taking old buildings and making them almost new again, or look new again with an old flavor. The wine bar that's opening, new businesses that are coming into the downtown. That's an awesome responsibility in keeping that balance, and the chamber has helped to create that, helped and promote that, and for that I applaud and cheer. Thank you.
When thinking about the relationship between the chamber and the city of Tomah, there's really no other way to put it, in my opinion, than they need to be partners. And I'm very proud of the partnership that the city has with the chamber. I think together they're doing wonderful things, and they are keeping things strong. It is a challenge to bring downtown revitalization. It's not going to happen overnight. It requires that partnership between the two sides. I'm in a unique position. I sit on the chamber's board, and I also sit on the city council. And I think it's a wonderful partnership to be involved on both sides, and I think that it can really assist our community and our residents by being educated on both sides. The chamber can be thought of as the voice of our businesses. And having that great relationship means that our businesses are being heard. Many business owners do live in the city, but not all of them do. So we need to make sure that voice exists. And when there's a good relationship between city government and the chamber, the businesses can be more effective because they know what their members need, which in turn makes them better for the city residents in general.
I think the chamber has been an incredible steward for the city of Tomah. As my fellow candidates have mentioned, they do a lot of work for its citizens and for local businesses. Local businesses, much like the city, want Tomah to succeed, so finding the right people who have businesses and keeping them satisfied in our city is important. I think the chamber is also important. I think the council should have a strong relationship with them because we can leverage these sorts of partnerships and connections that the chamber has made in order to find ways to work on projects and things for us in the city. Something that comes to mind is, say, working with Gigous, right, with the proposed sporting complex over by 801 Housing, right? Having a strong chamber allows us to find people who are willing to do things like this to come in and help us out. On top of that, we would be remiss not to mention the amount of advertising that the chamber does for the city of Tomah. That increased advertisement means things like more residents, which means more taxes. It also means more tourism, right? People coming to stay in our hotels, to go to our events, which means more room tax. And that does all types of crazy good things for our city. So Again, I'll say downtown revitalization because I think everybody else mentioned it, so I would feel bad if I didn't also say it. So, but I think that we should have a strong relationship with him.
I agree with what all the other candidates have had to say, and I do think the chamber has put on some very nice events, particularly the balloon thing that they put on. And these are the things that bring people into the city. And like any organization, you don't stop. There's always room for improvement. And I think the city has a good relationship with the chamber, and I would hope that would continue on.
Well, I've been involved with the chamber for many, many years. Since I've been a business member, 20 plus years ago, we joined the chamber. I've been involved with the chamber for 10 years or so, being president 3 or 4 times so far. I have a real deep, strong feeling for the chamber. What the chamber does for our community is a lot. If as the city, the chamber and the CVB, if the city had to buy hire a marketing firm to do what Tina and her girls do, or the staff that we've always had through the years, it would cost the city astronomical amounts of money because marketing is not cheap. What they do, they're the right arm. The chamber and the city, I feel, need to be cohesive. They need to work as one unit. They go out and they help our businesses. They sell our businesses to the community. They go out and market Tomah for tourism. Everything that we have to offer is not just for our residents. They go all over the city, all over the state of Wisconsin, advertising, Tomah is open for business, Tomah is here. We have to really work together with our city administrator and the chamber one-on-one, selling our brand, selling Tomah, and we have to allow them to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. One question, 8 answers. We're on to question number 3. Wayne Kling, you have the honor of answering this first. What is your position on the city of Tomah providing incentives to private industry? What is your position on the city of Tomah providing incentives to private industry? 90 seconds.
Well, I'll say that we have created TIDs. We have 8 TIDs in Tomah, and when businesses look at Tomah and they want to purchase land and they want to build, we have these TIDs that they can get into, and it's a tax incentive for businesses. Well, they don't pay taxes in the beginning, but then they go ahead and after they establish themselves, we have these TIDs and they support one another. And that's very important to bring new businesses here in Tomah, because the more businesses we have, our tax revenues increase. And the objective of Tomah right now is to bring Tomah to a population of 10,000. If we have a population, we're close to it now, within 9,000 some hundred, but if we can bring it up to 10,000, maybe 11,000, that would help us with our tax base. So bringing new businesses into Tomah is very important, and so thank you very much.
Not sure if the question was directed towards TIDs, but giving incentives to build is probably as old as building itself. I mean, everybody knows you got to spend a little bit to make a little bit. Not everybody comes in with the exact amount of money to build, or even the need or want to build. A lot of things can be solved by working with business owners. If we're talking TIDs and we're talking how it's going to help our community, TIDs work great. TIDs work super as long as you have an active chamber and a city administrator who knows what he's doing. Those two things, kids work great. We have both of those. All three of our kids are successful. Our last three, at least, 10, 8, and 9. Some people will say that we're going to be in the red for the incentives that we gave for the downtown revitalization. I don't see it that way. I see it as in X amount of years we're going to have that paid off, and then because of our investment, just like anything else, if done correctly, it will pay off in the long run, leaps and bounds. Our new lighting system that we talked about, paid for by TID 8. So we pay for what you get.
Thank you, Remy. I'll repeat the question again. We're halfway through. Thought that might help our television viewers down the road. What is your position on the city of Tomah providing incentives to private industry? Sue Holme, 90 seconds.
To extend incentives or to pay for something for business to come into town, there's benefits and there's drawbacks. It extends the debt that the town has, the city has, but it also can work to a benefit. There's a trickle down. If you have a business come in and you have jobs created, you have more people using your businesses locally as well, and you have them potentially buying a house, which can create more land or taxes on their property. So if it's done responsibly and with conscious, spending, I think it's a great thing, but we just have to be careful and cautious in how we handle it. Thank you.
Certainly don't want to sound like a broken record, but it's absolutely true. It has to be fiscally responsible. Incentives to business, to bring business to town, it's been around for forever. That's how things get done sometimes. It's not about whether we should or we shouldn't. We need to analyze each situation. We need to make sure that the benefits outweigh the cost. We need to make sure that it's going to be bringing what we need to the city, that we're looking at the city's big picture. The council's job is to look at the city's big picture and not just simply look at one choice and how it affects us today, but how it affects us over time. And how is it going to make us better? Is this the right decision? It could be. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And incentives come in all different shapes and sizes, be it actual dollars for building or putting in an industrial park. Of course, at that point, we start to get into TIDs, and I'm sure we'll talk more about TIDs tonight. I look at it, and I don't say it's not whether we should or we shouldn't. It's about managing what is best for us and looking at those decisions, making sure we're doing it fiscally responsible and keeping the big picture in mind.
I'll say that I think it's important that we are open to businesses that may want to do business within the city of Tomah. Things like the third gen building downtown with Murray's on Main are really things that can help raise the profile of the city of Tomah. It also does things that when we have things like tourism, like Cran Fest or Kite Fest or things like that there are places for people to go that are more than just the fairgrounds in this area. Also, if we are more welcoming to businesses, this will entice other business owners either from outside of Tomah to come in and put their businesses here, or on the other end, maybe local citizens who want to start businesses, they'll see that they can get some help and maybe they'd be much more willing to kind of take the plunge. It's scary enough to start your own business. It'd be nice to get some help on that. The other thing to think about is the way that we treat businesses is important. Sparta has that brand new business park, and we are in competition with some of these businesses if we are going to have them in our area or not. And if Sparta becomes a much more welcoming community, we could lose a lot of these businesses that might want to open their doors in our town. So that's something that we should keep track of. Downtown revitalization is another area that we can talk about. If we give more money to the businesses, they could then make improvements on their building, which when they make improvements, they get appraised higher, which means we increase our tax base, because I haven't said tax base enough tonight. And in closing, I think really we need to look at it not necessarily as debt, but as an investment, and we should really invest in businesses so that they will in turn invest back in us.
I'm beginning to feel like a parrot up here, being the last one. I agree with some of the comments that were made. I really think it's important to give businesses incentives. However, I feel like we have to be very fiscal responsible about what we do. I'm not in favor of long-term tax breaks, because when we bring a business in, that is one of the things that makes we get a higher tax income from the property taxes. And if we forgive the taxes, then we're not getting anything, and particularly if it goes on for a long time. Otherwise, yes, I am in favor of giving businesses tax, or not tax, but incentives, like a break on the land purchase and things like that.
I think we have to start helping our existing buildings and business owners downtown, help them do upgrades, upgrade to their storefronts. It's hard enough being a single business owner, and if any, a little incentive, a low-cost loan that we can help them with to help them fit it into the scheme of our long-range planning. I think as a city, we need to be fiscally responsible for that. I think we need to try to entice other businesses to come. The communities, as was said, Sparta, look what they're doing. We have to entice these businesses to come into our town. Once they're here, what growth that they develop, what workers they bring in will help increase our tax, make sure our tax base, we get more revenue, and our tax base stays low for our residents. I feel if they're managed properly and with the right planning, and I think we have a city administrator that is on top of that, and the city council that listens to what he has to say, I think we can do this and be very fiscally responsible for our residents.
Great. I started out in my introduction saying that I think it's important for the city to grow business, and the position that I take on providing incentives to private business owners is absolutely. We need to do that. I can think of 3 recently that we've done. When we think of the Toro expansion, Millhaven, and the 3rd Gen building, those wouldn't have happened without some sort of incentivizing them to do those projects. So very important, and a lot of what the other candidates said, we just need to do that responsibly. These TID districts need to cash flow. We certainly don't want to invest in something that we don't feel confident is going to work out. And we do that by hiring some really good people, some professionals to come in, explain our options to the council. I don't think anybody on the council is an economics major, but that's not our role. Our role is to listen to the professionals that the city puts in front of us, and make the best decision possible. And some of that revenue is going to go to helping the local small businesses fix up their storefronts, and without the TID, we wouldn't be able to do those things either.
Thank you. Well, we heard TIF and TID brought up quite a few times with those answers. He goes right along with his next question, and Remy Gomez, you'll be the lead answer. The Long Range Planning Committee has spent significant time trying to develop Tomah's downtown and various TIF districts. Where do you stand on the current TID developments, and why?
Yeah, we all kind of touched on it. Like I said, kind of inadvertently in the last question. They tie directly into each other. Like Jeff had said, it's not always money. Sometimes it's an incentive on the land. It's a break here and there. And as Donna alluded to, it's not easy being a business owner. It's not easy wanting to start up a new storefront. It's not easy getting the land in your name. There's ways that a city can help that. The way a TID district actually works, it is awesome. And I'd be lying if I said I was an expert on it. 6 months ago, I had no idea what I was talking about. Now I can maybe teach a class to 3rd graders on it. Not quite sure. But it's a simple concept if you approach it with an open mind. Our downtown is a great example of a TID that's a rehabilitation. It's for the rehab. We're not looking to tear down buildings and stick in a whole bunch of new buildings. We want what is there to be better. We want it to be improved. We want the existing buildings. We just want to find a way that we can get profitable business in there. And there's also donor TIDs, like where the hospital currently sits, where Toro currently sits. Though we do give incentives on one end, donor TIDs can help that. They can support each other. So technically, when you give money away, yeah, you're going to go a little bit in the red. But as soon as that hospital, not the hospital, but the clinic opens their doors, that we'll start making money.
I do believe that the long-range planning committee has a good handle on an idea of what they want to do to revitalize downtown, to help the current businesses be better, and to, with wishes and prayers, I think they have a good handle on what their incentive is. The preservation of the downtown, I sit on the Historic Preservation Committee for the city, and that's the concern, is keeping these buildings in a reasonable repair and the improvements within the historic aspect. So I think the long-range planning has a good handle on it. I think the new lighting will be an added incentive for downtown to bring people into the area in the evenings, keep these stores open beyond 5 o'clock, and make it an area that is more inviting, more homey, and a better asset for Tomah.
Speaking on TIF in general, TIF can be a complex funding mechanism, and it shouldn't always be thought of just as an answer to everything. And we talk about it a lot, obviously, with 3 active districts. But the important part is when it's used appropriately, it can really be an amazing tool for growth. And that brings us to the question of our current TID developments. And I think they have been thought about. If you read the reports and you look at where we stand in the ratios, and you look at the projections, and you really truly start to understand how the 3 TIDs work together to really start to do great things, it really starts to come into focus. I 100% support all 3 districts that we have recently added. They've been thought about. They all already have buildings being built. The projections on those buildings will, when you follow them out as the TID continues to move forward, they will cash flow. And they will do wonderful things for the city. And that's what it's all about. It's about making sure that we use this mechanism properly, and we listen to the professionals and follow their guidelines. And if we do, we will be successful.
I'm afraid I'm going to repeat a lot of the same things that Alderman Cram has just said. I've talked about downtown revitalization a couple of times, so I'm not going to give you the same spiel on that. But I feel that TIFs are a strong vehicle for development in the city of Tomah, which is important because it helps us not raise taxes on the individual citizen, which is always going to make people happy. As I mentioned previously, it's a great way to increase the tax base. So again, if you're keeping score, I said it again. And like we mentioned, what it really comes down to is that TIFs are not a cure-all. It's not something that we need some money, we don't know where we're going to get the money, let's throw a district somewhere and call it a day, right? It takes responsible management, and I think the city of Tomah and the people that we have in place have been incredibly fiscally responsible with the ways that we have managed these things, the projections, like Alderman Cram said, are there. They look great. The TIFs are performing the absolute way they are supposed to, so I think we should just stay the course and keep doing what we're doing.
I'm not really a strong advocate for kids. I think they're very risky. They can be very helpful for a city also, but there's a very fine line. We need to be careful about working on kids in agriculture land, because when you get into that, then you have to put in the whole infrastructure. You have to put water, you have to put sewer, you have to put roads. And you have to be careful that you're not spending more to be careful about speculation. Yes, we would like to see a lot of business come in when we have a TID. However, that's no guarantee. So if you run short of money, if you're spending more than the revenue you have coming in, you end up with two choices. You're either going to have to cut services, or you're going to have to increase taxes. So personally, I think kids are risky, and I'm not really in favor of them.
I guess I would say there's a lot to learn about TIDs, and I didn't know anything until I started, threw my ring in the hat to say I was going to run for council. So I'm still in the learning process, but I have learned a lot. I think the TIDs in our area, 8, 9, 10, if you look out there and see what's being built off of TIDs, you're going to say it's great. We've got a hospital, we have a great clinic coming out there with more hopeful growth to come to the south, and that's what we want to grow. Downtown, look at the Murray's on Main, the third gen building that they built. By the help of the other TIDs, it's going to help open up our downtown, invite businesses in and fill those buildings. The Toro Complex started many, many years ago here on a TID. Look at what it's building now. Look what growth is out there. They're building a $40 million project. Toro could have went anywhere. They've stayed here in Tomah. That says something about our community. Yes, there's a lot of risk for TIDs, but I think under the right management and the planning properly, they will work for our city. And I think we have that with our city administrator and our long-range planning. So I think we need to steer the boat, keep going on, and keep it running properly.
So I spent the last 2 years sitting on the Long Range Planning Commission along with the council, and I can say with absolute confidence that the position we're in with our TID districts is really strong. Again, going back to looking at what the professionals that we bring in, what their guidance is, we wouldn't have started those TIDs had we not believed that they were going to be successful. That's not our role as a council to put the city in that position. So where we're at today, definitely where I think we need to be. These TIDs are regulated by the state government, so it's not an open checkbook per se. So from a regulatory standpoint, we're in good shape as far as the amount of property we have in TID districts, and then from a financial standpoint, we're in really good shape. They're going to be successful. It is an investment, and we put some thought and some research into it, and it's going to pay dividends. Not this year, not next year, but over the next 10, 15, 20 years, you're going to really see those TIDs start to pay off.
I support the TIDs of Tomah that are in place to give the city a return on their investments. In every vote we take, we have to be cautious, we have to investigate, we have to know where our money is going. That's important. Now, to have some of these TIDs successful, we have to take out loans. And that is a reflection perhaps on the taxpayer, that the taxpayer is going to pay a little bit more out of their pockets to support the TIDs. Now, there is a 60-40% risk factor. So I support the TIDs, but to look at it very carefully, each and every TID that's put on the agenda to make sure that it's solid as far as the city could go with. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 5 begins with Sue Holme. Here it is. What role do you feel the city's established committees and departments play when presenting proposals to City Council for action? Sue Holme, yeah, thanks. 90 seconds.
Microphone, no.
Sorry.
in the citizenry of Tomah. And as you've heard from qualifications up and down the board here, it's incredible. And so when you have that background coming into the council, we're very fortunate to have talents, to have education, have backgrounds. And from that aspect of things, I think we're in good shape. We have a tremendous workforce to take from. We have a citizenry that also can come forward and give voice to the council and bring opinions, good or bad, or negatives. And even though we have a negative comment here or there, it's a good thing. It brings another aspect to light. And that's what I'm proud of in Tomah, is the citizenry.
I think committees and boards play a vital role to the success of city government. It's really impossible for us as a council to effectively do full research on any and all issue that comes before us, and that's what the boards and committees are there for. They're there to gather information, research it, and present clear and concise recommendations to the council, which in turn allows city government to then run more responsibly and more efficiently. Committees can and should and are filled with both experts within certain fields as well as general citizens. And I think that's extremely important. It allows those committees to be well-rounded. It allows voices from all aspects to be heard within those committees. It brings a real balance to representation. I fully believe the council needs to always be educated and prepared, but we should really hold committee recommendations in very high regard.
Again, not a ton to add here. I think the committees in the city of Tomah have been incredibly stable. One of the things that when Mayor Murray came into office is that he didn't actually replace anybody in any of the committees, which means those long-range plans that we've been thinking about from year to year are still consistent and in place, which is important when you're thinking about the longevity of these sorts of plans in the city of Tomah. Like my fellow candidates have said, I think they are run very well. They provide a lot of great and valuable information, and I think we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that Tomah, as it sits right now, is in a very strong position, and I think part of the reason it is because the committees and boards are doing their jobs and doing it well.
I think that the committees and boards are very much an asset to the city. The council does not have the time to really research everything, and having the committees, they pretty much look over all the information. And one of the particular things I like about committees is we have citizens that give us their input, they're people that are not on the council, and they're bringing fresh ideas. So I do believe that the committees and that we have and boards are very much an asset.
Same broken record as far as it goes. I think we have some very intelligent, smart department heads that work for the city. We have a wonderful city administrator with a great head on his shoulders. The committees that we have council members plus our residents, and they do a wonderful job. Like I said, the council members, to be knowledgeable in every area would be a full-time job, 24/7, constantly. But we rely on the committee and our department heads to provide us the most accurate information so that the council can come in and make the most accurate decision for the residents in the city of Tomah. So I take pride that we have some good group of people in the city of Tomah working hard for the residents and for the businesses, and I believe they do a real good job, and I want to continue on with that.
All right, well, I would echo a lot of the same sentiment that was shared on the question. That is truly where a lot of the work gets done. You may may not see it if you watch the city council or committee of the whole on Hagen, but a lot of the recommendations that were given come out of committees. There's more of an open dialogue. Citizens can get more involved. I would invite people to go to committee meetings if they truly want to make a difference in the city. Because again, that's truly where the work gets done. We as a council need to do a better job of taking those recommendations and working with them. Because quite frankly, we haven't done that to a great extent. But if we do, I think we'll continue to move the city in a positive direction and get more people involved in those committees to help again move the city in the right direction.
Committees are an important role in the city government to gather information, do research, present their findings to the council. Now, I'm on 6 committees. I'm on the Ambulance Committee, the Historical Preservation Committee, the Senior and Disabled Board Committee. And I have found that during those meetings, there's a lot of discussion, and then ideas are shared, and then of course they're brought to the council. Sometimes they have to go back to another meeting to revise some of their recommendations to the council, but I feel that the city, the employees should, and they do, work together as a team to get Tomah very progressive and to work with the community and their constituents.
I don't sit on 6 committees, but I do sit on 2. I do sit on the Public Works Commission as well as the Park and Rec Board. Like Donna had said, both of those are headed by some great department heads. They're on it. When we show up for meetings, we have more information than we probably need sometimes. But again, like everybody else has said, you got professionals in there, you got citizens in there, you got people in there from all sorts of backgrounds. You got diversity up and down the board. And our recommendations on the council come directly from those committees. And the beauty of them is they are more of an open forum. There's not as much formalities involved. It really is an open discussion. And then we kind of get down to the brass tacks of it. But when overall discussion happens, a lot of things are very broken down at a point where a good discussion can happen. Any discussion is good, regardless if you agree or not. The more you can get talking about something and you can get ideas floating, that's where true democracy lies, is being able to express your opinion and have it heard. And I as well encourage any citizen that's watching, going forward, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about times or meeting places, stop on in. We got a great staff. Joanne and the girls will be happy to direct you where we are. We'll be happy to have you.
Thank you. And it's expected to hear a lot of similar answers. We all have a love for the town that we live in, and we want to see if we can make it better. And that's why we're here tonight. Question number 6. Jeff Cram, you begin with the answer. How do you feel the city of Tomah should support tourism and residential growth within the city? How do you feel the city of Tomah should support tourism and residential growth within the city? 90 seconds.
I think the city's support of tourism and residential growth in the community is extremely important. The room tax that's generated here is dollars that are coming from outside of the community, and dollars that are going to make our community a better place without having to add additional tax revenue to our citizens. I think that we need to be looking at every aspect of tourism to drive more people here. take advantage of that room tax, and then utilize that room tax to continue to make things better, add more features, and continue to grow more and more and add more things and help our citizens pay for great things without having to increase the tax base. Tourism dollars can really be a silver bullet in helping us do a lot of things that we want to do, and I think it's a wonderful thing, and we should support it any way we can.
Like I mentioned at the beginning, I think tourism and residential growth especially are really important to the city of Tomah. I think right now it's extremely important that we hit the 10,000 population mark because it allows the city to do some things like have full-time firefighters, full-time paramedics. It also gives us some opportunities for some businesses and some other sort of programs that are in the area to take a look at our city because they won't even look at you if you don't have a population of at least 10,000, so I think that's a big deal. Tourism, super big fan of it. You talk to Parks and Rec, there's 4 weekends now where there isn't something going on at the fairgrounds. So bringing people into the city, again, collecting room tax, like Alderman Cram just mentioned, it really provides a way for us to put money into the system, put money into the city of Tomah without having to raise taxes for, again, the individual citizen, which is a big deal. Other than that, I believe this is another of the areas that we should really leverage the Chamber of Commerce. They can definitely act as the marketing group for us in order to provide the advertisement and the materials in order to entice people to come visit our area for tourism needs or to provide the materials they need if they're thinking about relocating to our city.
I think tourism is very important in the city. I think a lot of the activities that are put on in the city bring other people in, and it gives them the opportunity to see the city. I agree with Adam that with the growth to the higher population would certainly be a plus for us. I'd like to see things happening more at the airport through tourism because the airport is very important to our city, and if we have activities out there that draw the people in, I think that would definitely be a plus. But yes, I think tourism is very important for the city.
Tourism is extremely important, as everybody has said, for our city. We need to sell that our town is open for business and that we have a lot to offer. If you just look around, I've always kind of ran for council because I got sick of everybody saying there's nothing to do in Tomah. You know, and then I asked the question, well, what do you want to do? What do you think we should have? And nobody can give me an answer. So I'm still looking for that answer because we have 8 parks. We have a skate park. We have an aquatic center. We have soccer fields. We have walking trails. We have a wonderful lake with fishing and boating, dog park, golfing, performing arts, history museum, movie theater, dance theaters. We have recreation park. We have youth sports of every kind. I don't know what more you want to have. So as a resident, what we need is more residents so that we have more kids in our youth sports. So we have more kids in our high school sports when they get here. So yes, we want residents to come here, and we want tourism. A lot of people say that the CVB, they don't see their advertising. Well, they're not advertising to our town. They're advertising to the state of Wisconsin. They're advertising to the other counties. Come here and see what we have. So tourism, yes, we really need it. We need to advertise that we are here. Tomah is important, and we are open for business. And we need to have the residents. Thank you.
All right, the question at hand, what can the city do to support tourism? And I think that's a clear answer. We need to support the chamber in their efforts and take their advice on some of the directions they think that we can improve tourism. And I say that because, again, at the beginning I say one of my things I want to get done is to grow business, but if we're going to do that, we need people that want to work at those businesses, and to do that, we need them to live here. And with tourism, we can get people here, show off the businesses that we have, show off the things that we have to offer. And when we start to look at, what does the next generation want, the tourism can help with that as well. They want a vibrant downtown where they can socialize, but they want to also be close to outdoor activities, hiking, biking, swimming, those kind of things. And Tomah is a really good spot for that. So as a city council person, I would support the chamber, and I think we need to, as a city, take their advice on some of the things they bring to us to help grow that tourism.
We have a great city and many resources for people to come to Tomah. We have a live theater building, new museum that is going to be occupied. A lot of people don't know, but we have a whole chunk museum that is beginning to come to place. We have like a great library, a bowling alley, land for a new sports center with an indoor tool. We have people coming from out of state and from various townships to visit Tomah, to shop in Tomah, and they say, oh, all we've got is just a general store or a gas station. I've talked to a lot of people that come to Tomah just to shop at Aldi's or shop at Walmart because they don't have these things. Like Sparta doesn't have a theater. They have theater groups, but they don't have a theater building. We are really, really fortunate for that. And that brings in a lot of tourism. Then as far as jobs are concerned, we have the VA hospital, we have Fort McCoy, we have Volk Field. So tourism and jobs are very important for Tomah.
Well, I guess I'm going to be the parrot. I'm going to be second to the end here, but the question, what should our role be and should we support it? As a councilman for the last 5 months, I've got to see the CVB as well as the chamber both work wonders. I mean, if you were at the dinner last week for the chamber, you'd see how much support we have from our community, how big our business group is. And what the chamber is for them is what the CVB is for our tourism. That relationship should be just as strong with all the undying support. What they do there on their budget, hats off to those ladies. We get some great advertising, and again, like Donna said, they're not looking to make you want to come to Tomah. You're already here. They're up and down I-90 corridor. They're in Juneau County. They're in Jackson County. They're in Trumbull County. They're in La Crosse County. Advertising again that we are open for business, but not just business. We're open for residents. We have homes. We have a safe community with great educators and, in my opinion, a great staff already in place in the city. Yeah.
Tomah is very fortunate to have a tremendous opportunity around Tomah with the lake and the trails, and the tourists that come in and the residents that live here, I think, have to be kept in balance. As long as the programs that we have, the music in the park is great. It's a wonderful opportunity to get out. You meet the neighbors, you see what's going on, you hear what's going on. The events have to be promoted in such a way that it doesn't disrespect the landowners. We have to keep the house owners in mind. They're the ones that are paying the bills, so to speak. So, the tourism is wonderful, and that brings money into town. It promotes the city, and there's a lot of stuff here that people aren't aware of. And that's what we need to do, is promote the little things. The Ho Chunk Museum was mentioned. That is in the process of being put together. A young lady by the name of Josie Lee is working on that, kind of all by herself, unfortunately. But there's things coming up, and we just have to be aware of what we've got. Some people don't even know what's out their back door, so we have to all go exploring.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, we have, it appears, 3 questions remaining. Adam Gigous will be the first answer to this question. Mary Ann Komiskey follows. And then we have one question from the audience tonight. Adam, here's your question. What would you like to see different, if anything, about the current state of affairs within the city government? What would you like to see different, if anything, about the current state of affairs within the city government? 90 seconds.
There's not a lot. I think the city of Tomah, I think, is incredibly well run. From the city administrator to public works to parks and rec to fire and police and all the way down. I think the city employees are great. We have, like we've been mentioning, an incredible relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, who does a lot of work for us. So any of the differences I'd like to see probably really don't stem from the government itself. I think one of the things that'd be nice to see is just maybe more involvement from the community in local government. The fact that we do have a couple of races that are uncontested, it would be nice to get people who want to be more involved and would, run in these areas as well, and just kind of spread ideas and things like that, which I'm sure probably Alderman Cram and Travis probably aren't stoked about. But other than that, I think, we're in a really strong spot. I think we have a lot to be proud for in this community, so I can't say that I really have a lot of dissatisfaction with my government, which is why I want to be a part of it.
Well, being on the council for the past few years, I look at different things and I really don't see anything that, as far as how the government and what we have for government works. I would like to see a finance committee developed. I think that's an important aspect of our city, and that is the only thing that I can think that I would like to see be added for the city and the city council.
I would like to see our city government and employees and department heads continue with the communication. I think we have good communication skills. I think we have good communication amongst each other. I think we need to make sure that we're keeping all the topics out there to the residents, making them informed, keeping them informed as to what's going on, and what we're doing about projects, if it's the alleys or the street lights. And that's part of the council's job and part of all our committees, to make sure everybody understands before rumors start that something's going wrong or something's being built that it's not true. But otherwise, I think our city and our government is very fiscally responsible. They give guidance to the council. They are managed very well. Our city administrator does a wonderful job. He does a lot of research, and he makes sure our city is going forward, and we have the right people to do those jobs. So I really think I have nothing else on the government. I think we all work together, but we just need to keep good communication skills amongst all of us.
All right, Adam might not think so, but I do agree with him. I think to have more involvement, I would have loved to see every seat go contested, even though I have the privilege of being one of the ones that are running uncontested. I think that just shows a different level of involvement when you get people that want to step up and take part. So a couple other things that I think I would like to see. And my answer probably would have been different a couple months into my term, because I thought everything happened so slow. I would have liked to see it speed up, but over the past couple of years, I found that a slow pace of government is a good pace of government, and I think we handle it well. We debate things well, and to stay the course that way, I think is important. One other thing, I think we need to explore some technology. I can tell you, I get a packet every month to go through that's probably 1.5 inches thick. I think it's good with some of people joining the council, it's time that the city looks at some different technology as far as what we're offering the staff, what we're offering the council, and move more that direction. But again, involvement from the residents in city government, I couldn't agree more with that, would be tremendous.
We need to work together as a team. City administrator, the council, be more transparent as far as the public is concerned, and communicate with our constituents. Encourage our constituents to attend council meetings. When I attend a council meeting, there aren't that many. And we also should take very seriously what some of our constituents voice about their concerns to the city government. And as a councilman, we need to go the extra mile to be helpful to the people that you represent. And what I mean by that is go out there, and if they have a complaint or they need your help to talk to other city officials about a complaint they have, you should go out there and go that extra mile. If you get phone calls from your constituents and they're telling you that the neighbor has 6 feet of garbage piled up across their curb, see what you can do and investigate and say, oh, this person died, we need to do something. So then you contact one of the department heads and see what you can do for that problem that's facing the city, which I've done. Thank you.
That's the second time I've heard transparency in a week. Now I've sat on councils for a couple months now, 5 months. I've been to numerous ones over the last couple of years, and I can say I'm probably one of 5 people that is not a city employee there. Now, transparency goes both ways. We may not have the best way about getting it out to the public every single time, but the people that I hear talking about transparency probably should be the ones that are sitting in the meetings and doing your homework and doing your research on what it is. Because every department head I've met so far, everyone that has been in prior administration has always had an open door policy. Again, kids, TIFs, whatever you want to refer to it as, I didn't have a clue what it meant. Roger Gorey's having the open door policy that he has well before I was on the chamber. Well before. Just being able to walk in as a citizen, to have somebody with that much knowledge and probably very little time to sit it down and explain it to you. I could go on and on down the list, but I have 90 seconds and now I have 25 seconds.
To think of something that we need to do differently in city government, it's a challenge, because you see kind of I'm not going to say a well-oiled machine, because there's a glitch in everything. But the word transparency has been used. I think communication is an essence. I agree with Donna completely. You know, getting the word out about city projects and what's happening and who's doing what for who. That's what's important, is so that people understand. You know, once things sometimes are explained and it's like, oh, I saw that was going on, I didn't know what was happening. It makes a whole difference if you are informed. And, you know, I know that, you know, things are recorded and it's on TV. People don't always take the time to watch it. I think that the word has to get out. And I think there's a challenge for all of us in letting people know what's going on, putting the word out, and keeping everything in an open format.
I know what you mean. You guys mean now by going last, you get to say the same thing over and over again. But I mean, ultimately, the 3 key points that I have here are better communication, technology, and more involvement. And I think all 3 of them really kind of come one right after the other. We need to utilize the best technology that we can afford to better communicate to our citizens so that they in turn want to be more involved. And I think as city government and government officials, that's the best way to look at it. Is, I mean, our goal is to move things forward and keep our residents informed. And if we work to make those things happen, they will happen. But I think we can be better. We can communicate better. We can use the technology that we have better. We can buy new technology to reach younger demographics. And in turn, as we do that, the hope is that they will become involved. Communication is key in government, in any industry really, and we need to utilize that.
Thank you. Yes, a lot of same or similar answers, which is a good thing. It's the differences that we need to work out. And that's what makes the world go round. But communication in any relationship is key. Here we go. Mary Ann Komiskey, are you ready? All right. What should the city of Tomah's priorities be regarding growth and development? What should the city of Tomah's priorities be regarding growth and development? Mary Ann Komiskey, 90 seconds.
Well, before I comment on growth and development, the one thing I do think our most important priority is to the people is their safety. We should work as a council to make sure that they feel safe in their homes. And secondly, that they have access to their basic needs. And I think that moving on to the question would be, I think we need to work on the infrastructure. Our roads really need to be repaired. We need to be looking at helping the businesses downtown to get their stores and helping whatever they need to get their stores in for success, and to bring people in to shop at the stores. And I do think in prioritizing things, I think one of the things that we really need to start with, number one, we are servants to the people. We're their elected officials. And we don't have some kind of special place where we sit over them. And I talk to a lot of people that don't have a good relationship with their alderperson because they feel like they don't listen. But I think that is something important we should do.
Thank you. Donna Evans.
I think as a city, we need to set strategic, measurable goals for the future that we can plan for our growth and our development. It's very important that we improve our residents' living standards and try to reduce poverty in our area. We need to plan ahead. The long-range planning needs to plan ahead so that we can give our households more goods and services that we can offer them in our city. We need to get people to shop Tomah first. We need to have more businesses to do that. People that are going down the road to shop is not going to have our city grow and develop. So we need to do that. I think we're on the right track. We're geographically set to grow. So we just need to set our goals and our plans so that we can grow. It's very important that the city sets these priorities for our growth and development for the future, so we have a great town to live in.
I think the biggest priority is, for me, on the council is going to be the downtown as priority one. I think when you look to neighboring communities like Corolla, Reedsburg, they're really thriving because they put some effort into making a downtown where people want to gather. So I think that's important. If we do that, a lot of the other things will will fall into place. The other priority, I think, has to be on the south end of town with the hospital and the clinic coming online. We have great opportunity for development. So if we could sit up here and say we want to grow the tax base, what a better place to do it than on the south end of town. So those would be my two priorities: the downtown, partially because that's where I live, and I want to see it do well, and then just to grow the whole economic area. I think the downtown is good, or the south end is a good place to start.
There are a lot of priorities for Tomah. Every month we have certain projects on the agenda. So one is no more important than the other. But if you want to put it down to a main priority right now for Tomah, that would be revitalizing downtown and completing the Gerke building, which is scheduled, I think, in the next few months to be completed. So our focus should be on that. And then also fixing the roads from due to our severe weather that we had this year. I mean, we've got a lot of potholes all over the city when you drive through. So that's going to take a lot of manpower to get that done. And that is a big priority because, vehicles use our roads very much. So. And also the south side of Tomah too. We need to make sure that the hospital and the cancer center and the ambulance center is built. So these are priorities. But every month there's a certain priority that we have to vote on. And that's important for the citizens of Tomah. Thank you.
My priorities, I got about 50 million things I'd like to see for the city, and each and every one starts the same way. Can the old afford it? Can the young afford it? Can the low income afford it? Is it right for our city in the long run? There's a lot more that goes into just how much a building costs, what we're going to put into the building. Can everybody afford it? What's that going to do to the tax base? Is it in a TID district? Is it not in a TID district? Are we doing our due diligence on is this job going to, or is this company going to create cash flow? Those are all things that I think you should ask yourself as a council member, regardless of what the topic is. We're talking streetlights or we're talking a rec center. On that particular topic, I think just about everybody said revitalization and South End. Again, my number one priority, and it has been for the whole entire political realm for me, has been to get a rec center built and to get it finalized. It has been a need and a want for people around here for a long time. And I know we got projects going right now that are steering us towards it, and I'm super excited to be on board to help usher that through and bring that to fruition. I think building an ambulance, a centralized ambulance station would be awesome and much needed, and as well as probably, I think we're in line for probably an upgrade in our fire station as well. So there's things in a growing community that just naturally happen. Thank you.
If you look at what has taken place in the Long-Range Planning Commission, looking into the crystal ball on what's going to happen in the future and what their plan is for the future, there's a balance between what we need and what we really want. And of course we want the best, we want the greatest, and then there's what we really need. So there's a lot of priorities, the taxpayers themselves. How are we treating them? How the city services are being run? The schools, how are they? Are they up to snuff into the national averages? We've got the new hospital coming in, which is a huge potential, again, for the south side. I know it's been mentioned, I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher going on here, but it's this, these are things that we all are very fortunate to have coming into Tomah. And so with growth and development, we just need a balance. We just need to keep it all in perspective and keep our priorities in mind.
When looking at growth priorities within the city, first and foremost, I think that we have to support and monitor our TID districts. We have placed a lot of emphasis in them. They are doing good things, but we need to stay on top of them. Again, I said earlier, TIF is an amazing tool, and when used correctly, it can do many, many good things, but we need to make sure that we're monitoring that and we're doing it responsibly. Also within those districts, we need to be seeking new partners and ideas to further the success of those districts. We have put a lot of stake in TIDs 8, 9, and 10, and they will pay dividends. It will come. We have the base there already, but we can continue to grow it. So that has to be growth number one, or priority number one, simply because of the investment that we have made. I agree, growth priority number two, downtown revitalization, but again, falls right back into TID, because the downtown TID 8 was where it started. It started as a rehab TID. And number three is the overall growth of the tax base. But again, to grow the tax base, we need to be supporting our TID, supporting downtown revitalization, and making sure that all the plans that we put forth are working.
So I just wanted to, while everyone was talking, I was going to windmill slam downtown revitalization, but as everyone was talking, I was kind of thinking about it, and we were looking at things like Third Gen, the hospital, Millhaven, and what we really are looking at as a city is, I think the most important priority is just modernization, right? We need, we need new facilities in the hospital. We need to build a new fire department. We need to have better and more reliable ambulance facilities. These are all things that we need because we have an aging infrastructure, right? Like Wayne mentioned, there's infrastructure in place, like roads that need to be repaired and need to be fixed and need to be updated. After you look at something like modernization, which includes all of that stuff, I think Travis had a great discussion where you're talking about Viroqua, right? And look at the great things Viroqua did, where they developed their downtown. And I think the Chamber right now is actively working towards that goal and encouraging more people to spend time downtown. And I think it's one of those things that Tomah has grown so much over the years. I think what we really need to do, in spirit of the last question of getting local citizens involved, is really get our own citizens to kind of come back to Tomah, maybe find some local tourism, and encourage our citizens to stay in town, right? We have Vino Anjo now, so you don't need to go up to La Crosse to go to a wine bar. To me, a wine bar seems like a huge city thing that we finally have in Tomah. So, but yeah, basically modernization, and then again, growing the tax base, right? Because you need money to fund everything, so.
Thank you. That was it. 8 questions handed to me, or given to me yesterday. We have one question we mentioned of the fire department and ambulance. There are numerous answers there. Our final question for tonight, and we'll go back to the beginning with Donna Evans, who drew her name out of an Ed Thompson Army hat, from what I understand. Pardon me? Ed Thompson for governor. Awesome. Here we go. Final question for the evening, and it's about the ambulance and fire departments from our audience tonight. Thanks. We continue to talk about growth and getting bigger. Our ambulance and fire departments have outgrown their current facilities. What is your position on new facilities for these departments?
I think it's time that the equipment is getting bigger, and our barns that they're in, the buildings that they're in, are not fitting the equipment. We're requiring more and more trained staff, and the buildings are not fitting the staff in there. We're starting to cover more areas as far as our ambulance going out that we're servicing. So in order for that, we do need more people, and we do need bigger barns and bigger buildings. I'd call them a barn, I guess they're a building. I'm not sure what you call them. But I think we really need to look at that because our town is growing. We need to make sure our residents are protected by having the ambulance service. We have the fire department, we have the police department. We have to look at them, our service and our protection. And I really think we do need to look at it as our town is long from north to south. I think we need to look at having something on the south end and also the north end so that we can get to the people that need our help as fast as possible. So I do think we need to look into it. I haven't done a lot of research since I'm new to the whole council, but I think it's still being developed and researched. I know Randy Dunford's doing a lot to research for it, and I think it is something that we really need to plan ahead for in the long range.
That's a really good question, and to be frank, it has to happen. We are growing, and we've transferred our ambulance service from a volunteer to a full-time professional service, and that transition has been amazing. It's a really, and she had mentioned Brandy's done a good job with that organization, and the fire department is going to be right behind it. We have a lot of good options that we've looked at. And I would say, if elected versus nobody, I think my time we'll see those buildings get built and that fire department go to a full-time service because I think it needs to for the safety of our residents, to get the businesses we want to bring here. They're going to expect that kind of service from an ambulance and fire department, and so I think we owe it to those departments to make that happen.
As far as the ambulance service and the fire department, I'm on the ambulance committee, and there's been a lot of options talked about. Some of them are not, we're not able to talk about because things are just in a negotiation phase. So, but there's a lot of places where north and south that we have, or be in the present building that we're in and join with the fire department. But I think it's very important that something is decided soon. And we must keep in mind that the ambulance service is self-sufficient. So if they start building at a particular place, that's not going to reflect on the taxpayers. We need to know that so that if there's big plans for the ambulance services or two services at different places, that won't reflect on the taxpayers. So I do support the ambulance center for wherever they go, but I'm on that committee, so I'm very in tune to what's going on. Thank you.
Well, as I alluded to in my last answer, it's a huge priority, both for the safety of our city and we have a huge responsibility. Our ambulance service and our fire departments don't just stop at the Tomah lines. Same thing with our police department. They don't just stop there. We have a huge responsibility. We have two interstates run right here, meet right here. We're the hub of a lot of intertwining highways, if you will. We got a lot going on. We got a lot of responsibility, and like others have said, we got responsibility to two ends of town that is split in half by a railroad track. And when it comes down to minutes being shaved off of time by having it located in one spot to the other, that is definitely what it should be about, is the safety. So when we as a council vote on things like this, make sure we do our homework on it. Obviously we all know we need it, but where it's needed, as Wayne said, ambulance is on its own, for lack of a better term. And like Travis said, the ambulance went from being a part-time to a full-time, and I believe we're on the same route with our fire department. Not only is it needed, I believe at a certain point it will be required. Thank you.
With ambulance services, timing is crucial to when a person can get aid and help. And the north and south are kind of opposite poles here in town with the train tracks in between. Like Remy was mentioning, if you've got a freight train coming through, it can be, almost a 10-minute obstruction, and they're long, and they cover the whole city. If we're looking at something on the north and something on the south, it's going to definitely bring more service easier to more people. And I do agree that with the self-sufficiency of the ambulance service, and if a new barn is needed, I definitely think it should be looked into. I know there's plans floating around that the council is looking at, and for that, it's definitely something that is needed for the city. And the other buildings, again, this machinery, it was mentioned about the machineries being so much larger now. And we do need to take that into respect, and the personnel as well.
When thinking about the ambulance, fire department ambulance situation for the city, much like Travis, to be brutally honest, yes. There's no doubt we have outgrown what we have. We need to expand. We need to get these projects moving forward. With that said, I think we need to look back to one of the earlier questions where we talk about boards and committees, and look at the recommendations that have been made by the Ambulance Commission. If you look at it, you may also realize that there's probably not a perfect answer that will satisfy every location and every situation of time when it comes to response. It is about doing the best that they can and meeting the needs that they need to meet. Even if you split north and south, I would venture to guess there are going to be some homes that are currently south of the tracks that would probably then be serviced by a building that would be further away. Their response time may be longer. So we need to move forward. We need to get this project done, and need to realize that we have recommendations, look at what our committees and our commissions have said, and put this situation to get it done.
As no surprise, I'm going to parrot a lot of the things that have been said before me. I think, of course, building fire and ambulance facilities are incredibly important for the city of Tomah. I think the question that we really need to ask is what is appropriate at this time? And I think we have to realize we got to this problem that we had now because the city of Tomah grew, right? So we should really take a look when we build these facilities, what can we do to make sure that they are scalable so that if we build something now that, come 10 years time, we don't have to rebuild something again because we didn't put enough materials in it. And I wonder if there's some way that we can find some way for the fire and ambulance to coexist together, even if it's just for a short period of time, where we can provide brand new facilities and repair bays and maybe save on costs a little bit, where the ambulance and fire department can share some resources back and forth, and then maybe when the fire department grows bigger, they find a new place for the ambulance to go or something so that we can do that. But again, I don't think anybody would disagree here. Safety of citizens is absolutely paramount, and I think we should do all we can to make sure that the citizens of Tomah are safe.
I think the big issue here with the ambulance is the trains, and we can't change the trains. We can't stop a train. So I'm from the north side, so naturally I would like to see the ambulance be on the north side, because sometimes the trains can be 15, 20 minutes, and that is a long time in an emergency. We aren't talking about this at the council level, and until we get more information from recommendations, then I can only give you my preference, and it's not about me. So I have to wait and see what they bring to the council to make a decision.
Thank you for many similar answers and intriguing answers, and again, it shows with your love of the town that we live in and call home. We were going to keep this as close to 2 hours as possible, and we're there. So according to the rules in the beginning, the conclusions, everyone will have 2 minutes to wrap it up. And we're going to reverse the order this time, where Mary Ann, you get to begin, and we'll end with Donna on this end. So 2 minutes, thank you very much. Mary.
I would like to keep my seat on the council because we do have a lot of things that are happening in the city. I have a wonderful group of people on the north side, and I really want to represent them. I think we have a wonderful group on the council. Yeah, there are times that we don't agree, but I believe everyone respects each other's decisions. And I really feel that I could be an asset to staying on the council.
I'll try to keep this short and sweet since we've all been here so long already. First of all, I'd just like to thank everyone for showing up. I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting this event on. I'd like to thank the council for doing what they do, and the citizens from the city of Tomah for, making sure that the city can operate day to day. I hope over the course of the past 2 hours you've got an idea of where I stand for and what I think about when it comes to the city of Tomah. Again, just to reiterate, I really think that we should do what we can to grow in a responsible manner, to make sure we do things like hit a population of 10,000, to make sure we encourage tourism, to make sure we encourage business owners to bring their money and their expertise into the city of Tomah, because I think it'll make us a richer community and give us the funds and the wherewithal we need in order to develop the city in new and exciting ways.
I also would like to thank everybody for coming tonight, and everybody that will hopefully be watching soon. It's a great event, and you get a chance to kind of hear what your elected officials and those vying for seats, what they think. I think one of the big words of the night, no doubt, was growth. There's a lot going on, and we're on the verge of growth, whether we agree with it or not. Growth can be great, it can be scary, it must be managed and done fiscally responsible. And as a council, we must keep our eye on the big picture. It's not just about every little piece, it's about making sure that we can move things forward in the big picture for future generations. I don't have to make too much of a pitch to vote for me, as I'm like Travis, one of the lucky ones that is running unopposed, but I encourage more people to get involved. I think being involved in city government is great. I said in my opening statement, the city has many important decisions coming up, and with that said, our council needs to be educated, open-minded, problem-solving orientated members that are willing to look at all avenues. Watch this back, listen to what people have to say that are in your district, and vote for the candidate that you feel best represents you.
If you'd have told me a year ago I'd be doing this, I would have said, you're nuts. But I saw a need, and yeah, I'm kind of one of those people that takes the bull by the horns, so to speak. And I'm not a politician, never have been, never would profess to be one. And this is just the thing that came to my mind, and it really was something that was a true force that came to me, that there was a need in the community for people to stand up for those that didn't have a voice or didn't want to have a voice, but had a need, and that's why I'm here. Tomah has a tremendous potential. You've heard it time and time again. You're all still awake, which I think is incredible. We haven't put you all asleep. But Tomah has, there's a need in Tomah for representation, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's why I'm sitting here tonight.
I think I did see Chief Nicholson nod off there for a little bit. Sorry. There's not many people to pick on out there. I don't know what to say to you there. Kind of, along with everybody else, obviously growth has been a huge word. You can talk downtown revitalization. But really what it comes down to, as Jeff said, is really listening to what the candidates say. And we weren't really asking extremely hard questions, so you're not really going to get the entire gist of where we stand, but you get a good idea. And I think for the most part, we all have good hearts. We're here for the right reason. And the reason that I'm here is not just to defend my seat or to keep my seat, but is to keep Tomah growing, to keep it rolling, to roll with the current administration, future administrations working on growing Tomah, make it a safe place, but more importantly, a place that people want to live, people that want to visit, people that want to spend their money here. Unfortunately, that's a driving force, getting people to our businesses, getting people downtown, getting people in our schools, get our school population up. I coach basketball. I'd love to see 30 girls out there and I gotta pick between them all. Unfortunately, we don't. I'd love to see more kids in after-school programs. I'd love to see more, not that Pam doesn't do a great job already, but I'd love to see more activities for our seniors that they can get out and about. And our low income. Keep our diversity in our communities. Keep everybody's opinion mattering is the key part. Keep democracy rolling for as much as that's worth.
In closing, I would like to continue to serve the people of Tomah to see the projects I have started come to completion. I worked to save the Boy Scout cabin built in 1934 from destruction. I was able to get the cabin listed on the National Historical Register. Through fundraising, we have raised $8,000 for repairs. With the council's help, I was able to get the historical preservation ordinance for Tomah, and because of that, we now have a tax incentive program for small businesses. I voted as a board member to purchase the Shutter building for our new historical museum. Tomah is a great place to live. We are fortunate to have many things for residents to do. We have the tractor pull, the farmer's market, a bowling alley, a wonderful library, a Ho-Chunk museum, the Tomah Historical Museum, the ice hockey ring, area community theater, a swimming pool, beautiful parks. We are negotiating for a new sports center in the future, also being considered as a new fire station, ambulance center. Being an alderman is a part-time job, but can be a full-time job with all its responsibilities. Other townships in the area do not have the resources that Tomah does. They come to Tomah for shopping and recreation. The priorities now facing Tomah are revitalizing Tomah, completion of the Komiskey building, and fixing the roads in Tomah. Tomah is indeed a growing progressive community. I am also running for school board and support a junior ROTC program which the school board voted to have, which shows Tomah as being progressive. We also have another Amtrak line that's going through Tomah from Chicago to Minnesota. Thank you, and I appreciate your support.
All right, I'll start off. Thank you all for coming tonight. Tina, thank you for putting on such a wonderful event. I look forward to the future of Tomah, not for me so much as for the next couple of generations. Tomah is growing, and I certainly hope to be a part of that growth. And set the example for those generations on how to move a city forward responsibly. Downtown development is a top priority and has been for me, and I want to make that happen, but I want to do that while getting the taxpayers the most bang for their buck. Needs and wants have to be paid for. As a council member, I take that responsibility seriously. My voting record, I think, speaks for itself. I support growth. I support development, but most of all, I support Tomah. And Jeff mentioned earlier, the council has a lot of important decisions that they're going to have to make in the next couple of years, and we'll make those, but you two here and at home have an important decision to make too. So please get out, vote, and the city will continue to move in a positive direction. Thank you.
Last but not least, I do want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to thank you all that's watching it on Higgins Sports Network. I want to thank Tina and the Chamber for setting this up, Rob and Robin for all your help that you've done tonight. I'm just a resident. I'm just a lifelong member of Tomah. I'm not political. I probably don't speak very professional, but I have a good heart, and I really want to work hard for this city. I have no agenda except that I want to see our city grow. I want to see our businesses grow. I want to see the residents of the city of Tomah shopping Tomah, supporting our businesses, helping us grow. I want to revitalize downtown. I want to help the south end of Tomah grow and be prosperous. I want to advertise and show that Tomah is open for business. We're just as good as the La Crosse, the Eau Claire, the Minneapolis. We have everything here. We're a small town. We have a lot to offer. And I want to be a part of that growth. And I want to show the community that we are great. Take pride back. Take pride back not only on Main Street, but in your homes where you live. Be proud of Tomah. And I want to be a part of that. I want to help our town grow. I think I have a good mindset, and I think I can do that for you. Please get out and vote. Vote for who you are there. Be involved. That's why I got involved. Not anybody runs. So I feel being involved, putting your hat in the ring and saying, hey, can I do this? I want to help. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, everyone. I know I've kept you longer than I promised I would. My apologies for that. Just a reminder, this is also a school district referendum. If you are looking for more information on what that looks like, we have it available from our office. The school district also has plenty of fact sheets and information available as well. Thank you to all the candidates that were able to take the time out of their evening. I know it's been a long evening and it's a little warm up here, I'm sure, for you all. So thank you for your time and thank you for serving the city of Tomah. To the rest of you, thank you for your attendance tonight. Have a good evening.